Bim, guess what? It's just gone 9 o'clock. It's a Sunday night. It's the 28th of January 2024, and that could only mean one thing. We're going to have a look at the news roundup of the week, where we look at the news of the week. I put my spin on it. You can either agree with me, disagree with me, it doesn't really matter. But you can join in the chat. If you're watching this live, feel free to join in the chat room. If you're not watching this live, feel free to join in next time I do it live, which is on a Sunday at 9 o'clock GMT or BST, depending which one we're in. And also you can chat in the comments as well, so feel free. I look at serious news, I look at silly news as well, so we've got this in various different sections. It's a new look this year to the news roundup. Where am I going? Where am I going? There I am. I'm not even in the right blinking place. So let's start with the news of the week, and this is the main news of the week. Now, there's lots of things I was looking at and I'm like, which one would I choose as the main news? And to be fair, it's not the same news. They're all kind of linked in a way where you think, right, okay then, I see where he's coming from. Then again, you might not. Anyway, on Monday the 22nd of January, and there were more strikes by the United States and, hello Lainey, United States and the UK, plus help from many other countries as well, including Australia and other countries like that. By the time Tuesday came along, the Hamas authorities were saying that 24 people had been killed in overnight shelling. And Netanyahu says that it is unbearable, and rocket attacks. Oh no, that was it. The IDF had 24 people killed, sorry. IDF had 24 dead in Gaza after a bomb, a rocket even. This is going well, isn't it? It's because I've got people waving at me. It's very off-putting. Right, we'll start again, shall we? Hello Lainey, hello Alan, smileys, easy, lovey, arty thing. Right, the IDF said 24 dead in Gaza. Netanyahu says it's unbearable after a rocket attack set off mines that the men were laying. So the men were laying landmines in an area that they don't control, and they got hit by a drone or a missile from Hamas, which set off the mines they were laying, and they were killed. And Netanyahu says, well, that was unbearable. Well, if you guys weren't laying mines and weren't in an area where they shouldn't be, they'd still be alive. He also says it's an unjust war, which it is. It is an unjust war. I mean, what started off at the beginning was unjust when Hamas brutally slaughtered many innocent people, but I'm sure Israel knew about that and let it happen so they could do what they're doing now. The unjust part is the amount of innocent people and buildings that they've destroyed since in Gaza. Ethnic cleansing, but more of that later. Everyone's just saying hello to each other still. Oh, Angela's in. Hello Angela, welcome. On Wednesday the question was asked, should the UK have a citizens' army? And we're like, a what? And yeah, basically almost asking about conscription. Now, I wasn't aware that we got to the stage where we needed to worry about conscription or anything like that. And let's be honest, if there is a war, it's very unlikely, because we've seen with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, that a land war doesn't really do anything these days. It doesn't work. Therefore, I imagine the war is going to be fought with drones and aeroplanes and long-range missiles and things like that. So people, if you do get conscripted, you're probably sat in an office or even in your bedroom, just controlling something and try and kill people. It's all very bonkers. I can see where they're going. There's a lot of people thinking that we are heading to a new world war. Whether that's going to come from what's going on in Gaza, what's going on in Israel, what's going on in Africa. Don't forget there's wars going on there as well. What's going on with Yemen, Iran, Iraq. There's a lot of conflict going on around the world, and any one of these if they link together, could end up being a world war. What is a world war? A world war isn't necessarily a war when the whole world is against each other, but I think if we do have a world war, it'll either be over very quickly and none of us will know anything about it, or it'll drag on forever. Either way, it's not a good thing. We got anyone else talking? I love your t-shirt, LJ. It's not a t-shirt, it's a very expensive suit. I do this because we're, posh. But the problem we've got is now, who would sign up for a British Army? If you're in your early 20s or mid-20s, I spoke to a guy the other day, it was last week actually, and we were talking about this. We weren't even aware that this was going to be a subject of the news this week. And we were saying, what happens if we go to war? Would you get called up? I kill myself first, was the reply. You're like, what? I'm not fighting for this country. And you're like, we don't have, we've got a whole generation now, and it's multiple generations. The generation before is very similar as well, where they cosseted. Maybe national service should have been kept. I never went in national service. I'm old, but I'm not that old. But maybe we should have kept it and kept some air of discipline on people. But now people can get away and do what they want. They can identify as whatever they want. So you can identify as someone who isn't going to join the army and doesn't care if we get invaded by Russia or anyone like that. All get murdered. But yeah, it's scary that this is the generations we've got. But it's not just here. They've got the same problems in other countries as well. Germany having problems getting people to join the army, as many other people are as well. It's not being conscientious objectors, because there's always been them. Although in World War One, if you're a conscientious objector, you would just get shot by your own senior officer. Things have moved on a bit since then, but I don't think we're ever going to get a time when we get back to having an army of conscripts. I don't think it's going to work, unless aliens invade, in which case there might be a chance there where the whole world unites against the common enemy of the aliens. Anyway, that brings us to Friday. This is just the main news through the week. The International Court of Justice says Israel should take all measures to stop genocide in Gaza. Now, genocide is kind of thrown around a lot. Obviously, what the Nazis did to homosexuals, Jews, and various other, the gypsies and various other people, was genocide. They were trying to eradicate the planet of these people by gassing them, shooting them, executing them, hanging them, whatever. That is genocide. What is going on, as far as I'm concerned, in Gaza is ethnic cleansing. They are trying to clear everyone out of Gaza so that Israel can claim it for themselves. And people are waking up to it now, governments and all that, and the courts of justice. The genocide is an act committed with intent to destroy a nation, a religious group, or a racial group. Now, at the moment, you think about it, a nation would be Gaza and the Palestinians. So maybe it is genocide, and maybe me saying it's ethnic cleansing is just being polite. Anyway, they've been told now to behave themselves, but Israel has said they will continue to defend itself while adhering to international law. Now, I'm not sure what international law they've adhered to, and like I said before, I am not backing in any way Hamas. Hamas need to be destroyed, but just flattening an entire country, for want of a better description, because there's a few thousand people who've done heinous things to you, is not, as far as I'm concerned, adhering to international law. That is war crimes. Also stopping food going in, water going in, supplies going in, cutting off electricity so hospitals haven't got power. Another thing they said as well about genocide is to stop stopping the ability for people to have babies safely. Now, if you're cutting off power and bombing hospitals, that's genocide, because that means that pregnant ladies who got pregnant a while ago, before the war, will not be able to go to hospital to have the baby safely. So that is a genocidal act, which is a war crime. Anyway, we go on to Saturday, and this is where it gets really complicated, because the UNRWA, which is the Palestinian arm of the UN who look after Palestinian refugees and all that kind of thing, are accused by Israel, you know, the people who tell the truth all the time and never lie about anything, that a lot of the members of this organisation were actually involved in the invasion of Israel and the killing of Israelis in October the 7th attack on Israel, which again, I've said before, is a war crime and is, you know, needs treating the way it's being treated to a degree, but not with the innocents being killed. Now, Israel is trustworthy. One thing I've said about various countries, including our own, is if there's a war going on or some conflict going on and they say something, so go for example with the Ukraine war. So if the UK military organisations say we're monitoring what's going on, that I don't know, Ukraine have made massive advances against the invading Russians, you take it with a pinch of salt. They may have made advances, but maybe not so much. If the Ukraine say that they've made advances, you take that with a bit more than a pinch of salt, so maybe a pot of salt. If Russia says that anything, you take that with a truckload of salt. If China say anything, you take that with a warehouse full of salt. If Israel say anything, as far as I'm concerned at the moment, you take that with a salt mine. So I'm not saying that these people are innocent. I know cultures are different all over the world, and I've not even heard of this organisation until this week. Didn't even know it existed. I knew there were charities there, but whether or not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all of them have actually joined in with this, I don't know. But it just seems a shame that the United Kingdom, America and other countries are withdrawing funding for this, when at the core, and they've got rid of people who've been named, they've suspended the people who've been named by Israel of being in this. How they know is beyond me. How did you know who exactly was in this terrorist group that invaded Israel when you didn't know it was going to happen? It does make you think, doesn't it? Anyway, they've been suspended from the jobs, and the UNRWA is trying to keep, the aid getting to the people who need the aid. Is this another way of Israel cutting off humanitarian aid to the innocent Palestinians? Admitted, Hamas will benefit from this as well, i.e. the food and the goods getting through, but they're humans also. Okay, they need to be wiped out as an organisation, but their children, their families, and all the innocent families and children need this aid desperately. And if Israel is now doing a thing where all the governments around the world are pulling out of the UNRWA, no one else is allowed in there, people are going to starve to death. Anyway. Well, I've not got a frozen screen. I'm alright. We've had no drop frames. We've had no drop frames. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, that is up to and including Saturday. However, on Saturday, this is linked. There was an attack by a Yemenis terrorist organisation on a British affiliated. There's no British crew on it. It's not owned by Britain. It's affiliate. It's very loosely affiliated to Britain. But a British oil tanker was hit in the Gulf of Aden, and it caught fire. Now, this is where things could possibly escalate. And when I say escalate, I mean monumentally escalate, because if shipping, this is an oil tanker, it was lucky. If you look at where the fire is, it's on the gantry looks like it's on the gantry that's in the middle of the ship, so not the bit where you can get to the actual oil. Now, crude oil doesn't burn as easily as petrol or air fuel or any other fuel that's been refined, but it does burn, and obviously that would be a danger to the crew and to the environment as well. But thankfully it was put out, and the ship has docked in an harbour to have assessment of its repairs. Hello? Oh, I'm back. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, That brings us to today. There were 3 USA troops killed and over 30 injured, many with very serious injuries, shipped out of Jordan after an attack which America and Biden say is related to Iran and or Iraq or both. Again, this is where it could escalate into something very serious indeed. He says that America's got a heavy heart, that these troops have been killed and injured, which it would do, and that makes sense. But what can they do to rectify the situation? And the problem is, every time America gets involved with a situation, and the UK and everyone in this area, it just goes very wrong indeed. And although it's horrendous what's happened, if he doesn't do anything, he's going to be seen as weak, and then more attacks will follow. If he does do something, he's going to be seen as being an aggressor, even though he's defending his troops. It's a no-win situation. Talking of which, the HMS Diamond, one of our frigates, naval frigates, that's not the sun or anything. That is a drone that was being fired at our warship, being destroyed by the warship. And this was from the Houthis in Yemen. So we've got all this war coming on in different angles from different places. And let's say any one of these could literally escalate. If that, for example, or if they'd sent 5 or 6 and one of them had got through and hit the ship, then you would have been looking at World War III. We are so close to it. Now, I lived through the Cold War. We used to joke when we left school on a Friday, I'll see you on Monday to your mates at school, unless we get nuked over the weekend. It was like a running joke, because you had all these leaders. You had Russian, you had Brezhnev, and you had Reagan, you had other, Carter and all them, and Nixon, and they were all, battling each other and everything. Even JFK was involved with the Cuban Missile Crisis, which apparently up to this point has been the closest we've ever been to a third world war. But will we actually get there, or will people back away from it and think, you know what, there's going to be no winners? The problem you've got now is everyone's got nuclear weapons, everyone's got drones, everyone's got internet capabilities to interfere with everything in the planet. So yeah, it's quite scary that we are close to something that could be, the end of the world. But we might look at this in a few weeks' time and go, do you remember when we thought we were all going to die? Mind you, in a few weeks' time we might all be dead. Anyway, that brings us to the other news roundup of the week. This is news reported in the United Kingdom over the course of the week. Andy the cyclist has joined us. Good evening, Andy. Welcome. I did do a challenge set by Andy on Grand Theft Auto 5, which was get a bike up to the top of Mount Chiliad. Sadly, I couldn't find a pedal bike, so I used a motorbike, and I did it quite easily. So I will do it with a pedal bike when I find one. Anyway, we'll go back to Monday the 22nd of January 2024. Storm Isla claims 3, and there's massive disruption to power and travel. And then we got told on Monday a new storm was coming, Jocelyn. We are rattling through the the alphabet rather quickly. Bearing in mind, there's a few of these storms that have come through this winter that have been named by other countries and therefore do not go on our alphabets thing. I do begin to think, though, at times, although a couple of these have been a bit more serious than other earlier ones, that they're very trigger-happy naming storms these days. Oh, there's a big black cloud over there, that's Storm Harry. No, it's just a big black cloud. And I don't think more people die now from storms as they did previously. I think it's about the same numbers. It's just you terrify more people and scare people and make people stay at home because, like, oh, I don't want to get wet. And it's usually, it can be bad in certain places. We've got a few mini tornadoes and stuff like that. But yeah, it does seem like, oh, there's a dark cloud, bang, let's fire a name at it. We'll see where we get to. Luke Williams, what a happy, joyous world we live in. Indeed. We won't want to live anywhere else, would we? Humanity is a mess, says Lane. Yeah, that's the thing, everyone goes on about UK politics, but I mean, it's worldwide, isn't it? It's not just the UK that's messed up. We've got some good news on Monday, though. that energy prices could be dropping in spring. A whoop, a whoop, a whoop. When we don't need it, the prices will come down. It was just windy when I was little. Yeah, that's because you were on a vegetarian diet. It was the classmates who had to suffer. But no, I mean, as I've said before, I went to school on the edge of the Pennines, which is what is known as the backbone of the UK. It's not the highest point of the UK, but it is pretty high up, so you get weather there. I mean, snow that deep was not unusual when I was a kid. To be fair, even in the town, because my mum lives there now, any snow at all is unusual. So global warming is doing something. But we used to get winds, we used to get blizzards, we used to get ice that was there for weeks. And then in the summertime, the pavements would crack. You know, it's quite scary. And now everything's named. We'll call it Barry, we'll call it Humphrey, we'll call it George. Tuesday, 23rd of January. Man pleads guilty to triple stabbing in Nottingham last year. Now, if you remember, this is Barnaby, his friends, and the caretaker who were stabbed on an early morning in Nottingham. Shocked the country. Turns out the gentleman who did it had mental health issues and had a warrant out for his arrest at the time, and there had been episodes missed to actually arrest him and take him off the streets. He was known to various different people as well, i.e. authorities, yet he was still able to go out and murder these three people and attempt to murder by nicking the caretaker's van, three other people by running them over. Thankfully all of those people survived, although some had very serious injuries at the time. Anyway, he pleaded guilty to manslaughter and not murder, however, due to the grounds of diminished responsibility. However, the way I look at it is, if you go out with a knife, intent to stab someone, regardless of your mental health status, if you've got out with a knife, that is a murder. If you kill someone, you've got out with the intent to harm and or murder someone. And how can you get done for manslaughter when you kill three people, but then get done for attempted murder when you try and run three people over? I mean, how does that work? The guy went out with a knife and he stabbed poor Barnaby, his friend, and later on this guy, with a knife that he brought and took out, and then he found the van, and then he drove around in the van trying to kill people. So you would think the van one would be manslaughter, but the actual murders were murders. And I don't understand the British justice system as to how this works. More of that in a bit. I was on about British politics, wasn't I? On Tuesday also, a former cabinet minister says Rishi Sunak should quit. In a report or a column he wrote in the Telegraph. Never trust a columnist, I always say. Says that the Tories will be massacred, which seems a weird thing to say, because the majority of people I speak to when we talk about politics, and trust me, we talk about politics a lot in the shop, a lot of people we talk about politics wouldn't vote Labour because they don't like Keir Starmer. And this is literally a red seat. I'm in Wigan. I mean, you could literally put a rosette on a dog poo and it'd get in. But it does seem like the infight, it seems more like something he's saying for himself, so that if they do lose, when they lose, the election, he can say, I told you it was going to happen, you should have had me in there instead, and it's for his own thing, so he can put himself forward to be the leader in the future. And I'm like, if you're that conniving and that twisted, then we don't want you as our leader. Or maybe we do, maybe in a war-torn world, maybe we do. Oh, I don't know. But either way, it just seems a stupid thing to say, and I think it's only for making him known to people. Oh, look at me, I don't like Rishi Sunak. Oh, great, because I don't. No one likes Rishi Sunak, but he's still better than Keir Starmer. Judicial system is a joke. Yes, it is. Now, Hinkley Point. You'll be like, what? It's a new site for a nuclear power station. We're on about building new power stations. Now, I actually agree with new nuclear power stations. I think we should have many of them around the country. The reason for that is, one, they're a lot safer than they were before, and let's be honest, other than in Ukraine and Chernobyl, bearing in mind Ukraine at the time was part of the USSR, so it was Russia who were doing it. That was where we had the massive nuclear meltdown. Then you could say Fukushima in Japan. Well, that was an earthquake and then a tsunami that made that one blow up. And then you've got 7 Mile Island in America, and that was in the 70s, and nuclear power was still a new thing. We were still learning how it works. Things have come on a long way since all of them things happened. So I think nuclear power is incredibly safe, and I think nuclear power should be what Britain goes for powering our homes and things like that, because it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Doesn't matter how much light there is, doesn't matter how windy it is, all it matters is that it's turned on. And then if there's a, like, I don't know, massive episode of Coronation Street, and people go and put the kettle on it when the advertisements come on or where it finishes, we don't get power shortages, because they've said now for the last couple of years, and not so much this year to be fair, there's a possibility that we will have power cuts because we haven't got enough power. And that's because we've shut down and destroyed all the coal power stations in Britain, and majority of oil power stations as well, but we've not replaced them with anything other than wind turbines, which, okay, I don't think they're ugly. I think they're quite nice, actually, wind turbines. You see a few of them on a mountain, they look really nice. Watch me on Grand Theft Auto 5, I fly through them all the time. But they don't work when it's not windy, and they don't work that well when it's very windy, because they have motors in them to slow it down. So the whole thing is absolute bonkers that we're even thinking about wind power. And as for solar power, I mean, at this time of year, it's light properly for about 3 hours a day. Okay, maybe 9. But it's not light for long. And most people are at work when it's light. What we need power when it's dark and cold, and we've all got our heating and we've all got the lights on in every room in the house, particularly if you've got large families. Or you plug in your car in when you've got home from work. All that kind of nonsense. And so solar panels, I'd scrap all solar panels going on buildings now, unless we can store the energy somehow. Oh, JT's in. Hi JT and Rachel, hope you're good. And we go with nuclear power. The only problem with nuclear power is it's very expensive to build. Obviously, you're building a nuclear power station. It's not going to be £4.50 and a couple of 4B2s knocked up to make a nuclear power station. And they don't come online very quickly, because they've got to be made properly and tested properly before they're actually turned on. But it's definitely the way forward. Sizewell as well is another site for a nuclear power station, but I think we should have quite a few. And I think Elon Musk a few years ago was on about mini pods, mini nuclear power stations that you could put in the middle of Africa, and you could put in different places where they could power whole villages, whole countries in some cases, some of these power stations, because the amount of power they can pump out, even though they're tiny, is phenomenal. And for a country, a third world country that hasn't got a huge population, it can only be a boost and help them and their economy. So I just think nuclear is the way forward for industrial and home energy. Obviously, green hydrogen is the way forward for cars and aeroplanes and lorries, but that's for another day. And don't you dare say anything, Alan, because I know you like to wind me up about saying how good electric cars are. You're wrong. Meanwhile, on Wednesday, the 24th of January, a Russian military plane was downed. There was a video of it crashing out the sky and bursting into flames on impact in the ground. And Russia said there were there were Ukraine prisoners of war on this plane, and that it was Ukraine who shot it down. Now, Ukraine, I don't think Ukraine's actually shot down any planes yet. They've shot down a few helicopters and things like that, but this was like a Hercules plane or a B something or other bomber type plane. It wasn't a little plane, and it wasn't a helicopter. It was a proper military plane. And as far as I'm aware, they've not blown one down, and they've not admitted to actually destroying it, nor have the Russians proved that there wasn't anyone on it who was Ukrainian. Now, again, like I said, pinch of salt, a lorry full of salt, whatever. Could it be that if there were Ukrainian troops on there, it was shot down by the Russians anyway? Because let's be honest, they've done that before. Look at the Wagner leader. What happened to him? Oh, he was shot down in an aeroplane. But then you blame the Ukrainians to make the Ukrainians look bad, so that the people of Ukraine think their government is bad because they've killed their own people on a plane that's a Russian plane that the Ukrainians didn't know there was Ukrainians on it, although the Russians said they told the Ukrainians there were Ukrainians on this plane, so don't blow this plane up, even though they've never blown a plane up like that before. Are they kind of going down the route of the Israelis who shot 3 of their own prisoners of war in Gaza, bare-chested, obviously not armed, no vest on, that's why they took the shirts off, got shot in cold blood by their own people, holding a white flag, saying they were prisoners of war. And the bad publicity that Israel got for that, is that what Russia's doing with this? It might have been Ukraine shooting them down. There might have been. But I mean, we are talking a salt mine here of discrepancies. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? This is a question, going back to UK politics again. I think, Laney said judicial system is a joke, humanity is a mess, and I think we said something about British politics as well. Alan Barton, hate Labour at the moment, but the Tories are imploding. Yeah, exactly. But the problem you've got now is that British politics, it was quite exciting when Boris was in. I mean, not for the right reasons. It was even more exciting when Liz Truss was over. Again, not for the right reasons, but it was exciting. It was, politics was exciting. It's now got so dull, we don't even get to see PMQs anymore. Which is every Wednesday, the leader of the opposition, the yawn fest that is Sir Keir Starmer, grills Rishi Rich on various policies and things that have gone on, and says how wrong the government is on everything, and that's the whole point of them, as the opposition, is to push the government. And the problem is, and I've said this for years now, the British government is shite because they are not being pushed by Labour, because Labour are shite too. Which is why, like I say, as much as I hate the Tories, I would vote Tory at this next election if it was tomorrow. I mean, Labour have got a lot to do to convince me otherwise. But anyway, we will see. But yeah, is British politics so boring that we don't even get to see any PMQs on the news anymore? And when was the last time anyone even spoke about PMQs? It used to be a regular thing, but not anymore. I mean, it was quite good when it was Corbyn and Johnson, because they would go at it hammer and tongs. But now it's like, oh no, you go first. No, you go first. Oh, I like what you're doing. Oh, thanks. Yeah, okay. Right, see you next week. Bye. It's just awful. Talking of screwed up politics, Trump. Trump wins the second primary, defeating Nikki Haley after the guy whose name I've already forgot, because let's be honest, he was an insignificant little turd, quit. And this is in New Hampshire, which means he's now won both of the primaries that have gone so far, despite the fact he's a criminal. I mean, you couldn't ride it. I mean, nothing boring about Donald Trump. It's got to be said. There's always something going on. On Thursday, I watched PMQs last week, but as you said, it's boring now. You get audio on Radio 4 of today in Commons. Yeah, but I don't listen to Radio 4 because I'm at work, so I catch up with it on the news when something exciting happens and the Prime Minister gets pushed by the opposition. If you've got a crap opposition, you're going to have a crap government. That's the problem. We've had a crap opposition for a long while. The only person who was actually pushing the Prime Ministers was that, I can't remember his name now, but the SNP guy. Big guy, big chest suit, and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't like the guy, and most of the stuff he was talking about was nonsense, but at least he was having a go. We don't get that anymore. They don't have a go. It's just too polite. Anyway, Thursday the 25th of January 2024. Families of the 3 people stabbed in Nottingham say justice is not done. As he's sentenced to a high security hospital, and like I said to you before, he's been failed to be arrested at previous crimes. Admitted, not everyone with mental health issues goes out stabbing people and trying to run people over with stolen vehicles from people they've stabbed, and stuff like that. It doesn't happen, but all the time. But it does happen sometimes, and it always seems that the people who do this are the ones who slip through the net. Now, I'm not saying that they've not done a job of catching people who would have done this, who we don't know about because they've done the job properly, but they need to tighten things up. But then, of course, you say, well, hang on a minute, I said something sometime somewhere, and now I'm in a mental health hospital for my own safety or whatever. So they can go on a little bit further. Well, that's random. We're talking about a murderer, and someone's asked me, do we have any Amy Winehouse CDs of vinyl in the shops? No, I don't. Random. Scotland's First Minister apologises for lack of WhatsApp messages. Seems to be a thing, doesn't it, that governments have been working off WhatsApp but deleting the messages. I have a couple of people who I talk to on WhatsApp, and it's a 24-hour, and even if the things are not looked at in 24 hours, they get deleted. And I can understand why. But if you're running a government, then you've got to have this openness, and there should be automatic storing or archiving of messages. Particularly when there's a crisis going on, like COVID, for example. The former First Minister was full of foul language, particularly over Boris. She referred to him as a king cunt. Yep. Let's be honest, we were all saying that. And a clown as well. But the first 6 months of the pandemic messages that she made have all gone missing. It's probably a bit where she actually agreed with him, so she deleted them. UK pulls from the Canadian free trade discussions that we're having, because obviously now we are out of Europe. Not Europe, we're not out of Europe, we're out of the European Union. We can set up our own things, but apparently we all fell out because they wanted to bring over some of their crappy chlorinated chicken and some other crap, and we said no, we're not having that, and then there was a big row and we all fell out. There's your answer, James. Some mine are here if you want them. I don't know what's going on. Doctors' consultants. Now, I said good things about the NHS last week, and wrote about it in the paper. Consultants reject a pay offer from the government of 6% plus 4.9%. BMA, it was rejected by a small margin. I think it was 51% voted to reject it and 49% voted for it. And a few people didn't vote, so therefore there were more people who didn't vote or voted for it than voted against it. But either way, we could have strikes in the future. Excuse me, I'm the one who runs the shop here, Alan. Take away your status if you carry on. Friday the 26th, Trump was ordered to pay $83 million. He says it's absolutely ridiculous, and this is over the comments he made over at a journalist, a female journalist. I mean, he said so many rude things for so long. It's just unbelievable that he's got done for this one. But people still vote for him. Yeah, I want a criminal in there. That's slightly overzealous there, Angela. Post Office 10 years ago sacked a company for finding the bugs in the Horizon software. 10 years ago they sacked the company that found the bugs, and then continued to deny there were bugs and continued prosecuting people. They took the investigators off the case and put on their own investigation unit that was in-house rather than an independent one. Oh, that would work, wouldn't it? And the government apparently were aware of it at the time as well. Jurgen Klopp says he's going to leave managing Liverpool Football Club at the end of the season. He's 56 years old, so considered to me very young. And he said he's run out of energy. Yeah, it must be tiring, mustn't it? Sorry, asking too many weird questions. Okay, fair enough. You don't silence me for saying my weird stuff. And King Charles III is doing well after treatment for an enlarged prostate in a private hospital, the same hospital where his daughter-in-law is staying, Katie, who had abdominal surgery earlier in the week or last week. Back to Liverpool on Saturday, and there was a massive fire in a building. It was a 4-storey building which looks like it was either being built or being demolished. And there was some woman on the news today, on the local North West Tonight news, who was going on about the fact that when it was on fire, there were things popping and exploding. Yeah, it's a building site. They have like tins of paint on there. They have tins of glue. They have various other bits and pieces as well. They are not going to clear all that off every time. I'm pretty sure they didn't think there was going to be a fire on the site. Thankfully, as far as we're aware, no one was injured or killed. But she did point out quite correctly that there could have been homeless people in there or children in there or whatever. But I mean, it's just a ridiculous statement to say that, yeah, there was stuff in there that when it caught fire kind of exploded. There might have been welding equipment in there as well. You're not going to take that home every night either. Inquiries need to be made. No, you need to realise what a building site is, love. Anyway, that brings us to today. And overnight, 2 teens were stabbed in Bristol. A 15-year-old and a 16-year-old boy. And what looked like an estate of some kind. 2 have been arrested. A 15-year-old boy, I think, and a 40-odd-year-old bloke. Ages vary on all these. But either way, it does seem another tragedy of knife crime. We've talked about knife crime before on here. You know, America's got a problem with gun crime. We all know that. America kind of knows that now. It's kind of woke up to the fact. But we've got a problem with knife crime. But how do you stop it? I mean, I've admitted myself that when I was 16, I carried a knife. And I realised within a week that that was a stupid thing to do, because if I got my knife out, it was only a little knife. I got my knife out, I'd probably get stabbed with it. So I decided to just put up getting punched in the face if someone wanted to mug me. But no, it's a status symbol, isn't it? It's a bit like, you know, certain breeds of dogs or massive gold chains or tattoos or whatever. It's the status symbol. Look at me, I'm hard. But we need to get around it in a different way and make it not cool anymore. But I don't know how you do that. It's a very difficult one to do, because if you tell people they can't do something, they're going to do it. I watched Andre on Talk TV, and he was doing a thing about it. I think it was Thursday night. I'm not ringing this week, but Thursday night he was talking about knife crime, and I sent him a message. I don't know whether he read it or not, and it said basically they're on about banning Rambo knives and zombie knives because, you know, obviously they're designed to kill people. They're designed for hunting, really. And obviously in the UK we don't hunt because it's against the law, and you certainly can't go around hunting with a knife. So why the hell would you have these knives? It doesn't make sense. So ban them. And I'm like, yeah, I see where you're coming from, but I'm pretty sure that 90% of the murders performed by children on children are from knives found in a kitchen, be it chopping knives, boning knives, vegetable knives, which is like the one I carried a little on, or even a steak knife. You can kill someone with a steak knife. They are very sharp and pointed. What do? Ban all knives? You can't do that. We need to find a way of making it uncool to carry a knife. But by making it uncool to carry a knife, are you not making it cool to carry a knife? I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. We had Idris Elba going on about it a couple of weeks ago. I mentioned it in one of these shows. And he was standing up against knife crime as well and says we have to do something. Hunting is illegal. Hey Smiley, better late than never. But yeah, it's a strange one, and I don't know what the solution is. I just know we need to find it, because too many teens. I mean, you know, even if you're in your 20s and you get stabbed and killed, you've not lived your life. You've not even started to live your life. You only start living when you're in your 30s and 40s, really. You could use a butter knife if you try hard enough. You could use a plastic knife if you really try hard enough. In fact, I'm pretty sure they've been used in prisons, in riots and things like that. Not as a knife, but filing them down to make them into like a stabbing thing. And yeah, you can. Everything is a weapon, but kids seem to think it's cool to carry knives, and it's not. I mean, when I did, we're talking 80s here, early 80s. When I did, it wasn't cool, and I didn't know anyone else who carried a knife. And I thought, why am I carrying a knife? It was just one of that. I think it was just paranoia because I was walking through a park, a very wooded park, at 11 o'clock at night. So I was a bit scared. And then I realised I could walk around the park. Didn't take much longer, and I didn't need new underwear when I got home because a rat had run past me, or a mouse or a squirrel had dropped one of its nuts. So plastic knife is easier than a butter knife, yeah. Hey, how have you been today? Come in, a bit of a dark topic. Yeah, we've covered the dark stuff now, don't worry. We're going on to the world news now. So this is the world news reported around the world this week, which I'm going to say is lighter. I have to admit, it's not. I might be lying when I say it's lighter. There is some light stuff in it, but a lot of it is tragedy and death and everything. But we have got a lighter bit at the end, and I try and, put a bit of humour where I can, where it's appropriate. So, and this is news still from America and Australia. A Medivac team of 3 killed in Oklahoma chopper crash, identified as the NTSB probes tragedy, which is the National Transport Safety Board in America. Authorities identified the tragic crew of a Medivac chopper that unexpectedly crashed in Oklahoma on Saturday, killing everyone on board. Air-Evac Lifetime identified the crew as pilot Russell Hartlam, flight nurse Adam Teban, and flight paramedic Stephen Fitzgerald in a Facebook post. Horrific. You're going out there to help people and you end up losing your life. They describe it as an unexpected crash. I think it's fair to say everything crash-wise generally is unexpected. So it seems a weird thing. A mobster who stole the Wizard of Oz ruby slippers thought they were made with real rubies. An aging mobster Wizard of Oz heist was sparked by an over-the-rainbow misunderstanding. Terry John Martin, 76, snagged arguably the most coveted prop in movie history when he stole the ruby slippers worn by Judy Garland in The Wizard of Oz, but he mistakenly thought that the shoes were covered in real gemstones. Yeah, because that's what the movies do. Everything in the movies is real, mate. Like the witches were real. Yeah. Feeding babies battery time in America, and Australia's drinking batteries time. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, Jordan Arthur Bissell is on board. Deaths of Navy SEALs in Red Sea, a profound loss for our country, says Biden. The deaths of 2 Navy SEALs in a recent mission to confiscate Iranian weapons en route to Houthi rebels in Yemen is a profound loss for our country. This was on Monday. Jill and I are mourning the tragic deaths of 2 Americans' finest, Navy SEALs, who were lost at sea while executing a mission off the coast of East Africa. Now, this was obviously before today's attack as well, where 3 more of the American troops were lost. But this seems more of a tragic accident rather than any action from an enemy. A New York City bound flight cancelled when passenger notices missing bolts on a plane wing. And you're like, sorry? Missing bolts on a plane wing? Like the most important part of the plane, the wing bit, the bit that keeps you in the air. As we found out already, you can have bits fall off the plane as long as it's not the wing. As the wing falls off, you're screwed. Biting is a Fruit Loop. They should use humans instead of seals. Very good, Smiley. A New York-bound Virgin Atlantic flight was cancelled just moments before takeoff when an alarmed passenger said he spotted several screws missing from the plane's wing. A British traveller and eagle-eyed expert Phil Hardy, 41, was on board the flight at Manchester Airport in the UK when he noticed the 4 missing fasteners during a safety briefing for passengers and decided to alert the cabin crew. Yeah, I mean, remember, we've had the Boeing 737 MAX with the not a door blowing off. We've had bits of the panelling come off planes recently. We've had windscreens cracking. We've had windows cracking. We've had all this stuff going on. And then you get on a plane after all this has gone on and you notice bolts missing. You'd be like... And then a guy comes out with a bit of a Gorilla Tape. Yeah, that'll hold it. You'll be alright till you get to America. Brilliant. A Wong wing. Oh, very good. Where we're going, we don't need wings. Missing Navy SEALs now considered dead after being lost in a raid of ship with Iranian weapons. I think it's in the wrong order, to be fair, but never mind. Ancient zombie viruses trapped in Arctic ice could unleash deadly new pandemic. And it's a tangible threat. Of course it is. And I've been saying this for ages. Why are they digging 15 miles deep in the pack ice in the South Pole, North Pole, and then melting it to look what microbes are in there? I mean, what could possibly go fucking wrong? Yeah, let's just wipe out the entire planet. We panicked over a bit more than flu, but a flu. Imagine we actually got an ancient thing that just wiped everyone out. Brilliant, because we will not be immune to this. Why don't we just leave it there? Exactly. I better still just piss on it from a great height, and that might kill it. The heat might, some change of temperature might kill it. Although by the time, if it's it's that far down, by the time it gets down, it'd be snowing on it, wouldn't it? You'd have yellow snow. Don't eat the yellow snow, whatever you do. If you're Gwyneth Paltrow or anyone, don't eat yellow snow. But yeah, they're digging through the permafrost to see what's down there. I mean, for God's sake, scientists are going to kill us more than Putin. Woolworths is going to feature again later, but for the time being. Should the ACC investigate claims of price gouging at major supermarkets? There are calls for Consumer Watchdog to scrutinise the price gouging rising of supermarket giants after former Australian commerce thingamabob chairman thing, Alan Fels formally wrote to the Treasurer to probe the major Australian retailers. So basically what they're saying is, in Australia, that Woolworths, who are still going in Australia, should Woolworths come back to the UK? Well, no, I don't think so. And Coles, another one of the big Australian supermarkets, so think of them as Tesco and Asda or Sainsbury's or whoever, have been artificially raising the prices higher than they need to. God, could you imagine if that occurred in the UK? If Tesco kind of put food up by, I don't know, 50% in one lump because price inflation's gone up by 5%. Could you imagine that happening? No. What about white snow? No, you can't have white snow either. Frank Zappa, yellow snow. But yeah, they're on about being investigated now for price hiking. And rightly so, if they have done. Definitely. A 23-year-old woman has been arrested after allegedly stealing more than 3,800 Australian dollars worth of popular Stanley water cups from a Californian store. The Sacramento resident reportedly walked out of the shop with a trolley filled with 65 of the cups, stuffing her car with the stolen goods and driving off before she was intercepted and arrested by a cop a short time later. So these cups, I assume, are like vacuum flasks or something, so they keep your drink either warm or cold, and there must be a big thing in America or whatever, and she nicked 65 of them and just walked out of the shop with them, and then had time to put them in her car and then drive off before anyone actually stopped her. Anyway, she got stopped and she got fined. They didn't offer her a brew when they took her to the police station though. But they told her to bring her own cup. A trolley full, how did they not stop it? Exactly. Exactly. Barbie is snubbed at the Oscars. Apparently, disbelief has swept through the Barbie community overnight following the release of the 2024 Academy nominations. While Ryan Gosling was shortlisted for Best Supporting Actor, Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig missed out on Best Actress and Best Director nominations for their work on the highest grossing movie of 2023. Yeah, it's Barbie. It's not Oppenheimer, is it? It's Barbie. Come on. Now this is a weird one. Australia again. Back to school road safety warning. New study reveals dangerous habit. So, you can go 40 miles an hour through a school zone in Australia. Because they work on, like we do, on miles per hour, not anything less. Between 8 and 9:30 a.m. and 2:30 and 4 p.m. on school days. But apparently, a third of Aussie motorists have confessed to speeding in school zones, according to a survey conducted for an Australian newspaper. Drivers are being urged to slow down as children head back to school after their summer holidays. Jordan Alpha Bissell, never been a fan of the idea to make Barbie a movie. No, apparently, I heard on the radio that they're doing a Bob the Builder movie and possibly a Fireman Sam movie because of the success. Now I'm like, hang on a minute. Barbie has been going for 50 odd years, is a worldwide global success. Everyone in the world has heard of a Barbie, and near enough everyone in the world will have seen a Barbie at some point. Even in a little remote village in Africa, no doubt someone's been donated a Barbie doll to a charity and they took it there. So everyone in the world knows what Barbie is, so you're more likely to go and watch a Barbie. But Bob the Builder? Can he make it? Well, he can make the movie, but will people go and see it? No, they won't. Middle-aged New York City subway surfer killed after going nuts, hanging on the side of a rush hour train. So, we've been covering this for a while. The subway surfers is where teenagers generally film themselves for TikTok riding on top or hanging off the side of subway trains in New York. And obviously they get killed because they're subway trains. They go underground, they go overground. There's cables and things going across the track. There's drainage stuff going across the track. They go underneath buildings where the buildings go across the track. There's stuff at the side like lights to tell the trains whether they can carry on or not carry on, and you're going to get killed. And as I said before, in India, for example, everyone rides a train in India because you're in the middle of nowhere, and it's a different kettle of fish. But this is a middle-aged guy. A subway surfer was killed when he was catapulted underneath a Brooklyn train during a tragic rush hour mishap. The man, described in his 50s, was fatally struck on southbound Q train after he tried to hang on to the front of the train. I mean, it's like, BMW drivers who drive, dark blue BMWs who just push in front of you. Oh, they're more important. What was so urgent that you had to do that? Why can't it just... Subway trains in America run every, seconds, don't they? They're not... Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I said that, Smiley Mac. The guy who played Ken in Barbie was nominated, but the actress who played Barbie wasn't. But maybe the actress who played Barbie going, oh, look at me, ooh, and howdy Ken, hi Barbie. No, it's the other way around, isn't it? Hi Ken, howdy Barbie. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Life in plastic, it's fantastic. You can brush my hair, undress me everywhere. Meditation. Got my Barbie, let's go party, and all that crap. Anyway. Putin pardons rapist who brutally slaughtered mother of two in exchange for 3 months tour of duty in Ukraine. Now, we were on about before about getting the British youth and under 30s to join our army if we go to war, which is not going to happen because of the mentality of people today. It wouldn't have happened when I was a kid either, to be fair. He slaughtered brutally a mother of two, and he's now been allowed back on the street. A convicted rapist and killer who brutally slaughtered a young mother on her way to work was back on the streets in Russia after receiving a pardon from President Vladimir Putin, who of course is dead, in exchange for serving 3 months on the front lines of Ukraine. Grigory Pavlovkyo, 31, has recently returned to his hometown of Vladivostok in Russia's Far East, where those who knew him were left wondering what the hell was going on. I mean, it's one of them few people, I dare say, when he went to war, that they kind of hoped he wouldn't come back. 50s is middle-aged. Yeah, it is nowadays. I still consider myself, late middle-aged. This time next year I'll be old. But at the moment I'm late middle-aged. 6-year-old boy sparks terror after taking no, after taking toy guns to the airport. A 6-year-old boy set off a terror alert at an airport in northern Turkey by bringing several realistic-looking toy guns in his backpack. A portion of the incident was caught on a cell phone video which shows a visibly relieved police officer laughing with the youngster while examining his facsimile firearm. The boy, identified by local media outlets as Selim Koz, was at the DHM Yenisar airport in Bursa, Yenisar. So yeah, it's... I must admit, in the UK that would have been orange, or that would have been blue, or it would have been blue and orange. But that one looks like, that does look like a real gun. It's circled in the picture so you can see it. It does, I mean, that does not look like a toy gun. But when we were kids, we didn't have guns that looked blue or whatever. Our guns looked real. You know, even had metal guns where, you know, you might not be able to shoot someone with it. It'd have a cap gun in it or whatever, but you could certainly crack someone's skull open with it if you hit them with the bit that you hold. Oh, we got an ad. Oh no. So I'll give a big shout out to Hamilton Cavan Lewis, who's just joined us. So hello to Hamilton Cavan Lewis, who's typed in hello, hello, like a guy comes into the shop and always goes hello. But yeah, that is a very realistic gun. To be fair, if I was in an airport and I saw a kid, 6-year-old kid walking around with that, I would possibly need new underwear myself. And let's be honest, if you remember last year, there was a 6-year-old child who actually shot his teacher in school in America, admittedly, with an actual firearm. Pilot blocked disabled man from boarding flight, wrongly claimed he was a dangerous threat due to wheelchair batteries. Now, he's probably got a point here that batteries are very known for catching fire. More of that later, particularly in cars. More of that later, not even once, more than once. But wheelchair batteries are different. Wheelchair batteries are more like your normal car battery. I know this because my stepfather, well, I never called him that, but my mum's husband, when she remarried, was disabled, and eventually we ended up with an electric wheelchair. And the batteries were just basically car batteries that you charge up. They weren't lithium batteries or anything like that. But anyway, the Canadian airline pilots erroneously told a man who uses a motorised wheelchair that he couldn't board a flight because the batteries connected to his mobility aid presented a dangerous threat, according to a report. Yeah, no, they don't. But let's pick on disabled people, shall we? Why not? That's what Canadians are good at. Baby, nicknamed McFlurry after mum gives birth in McDonald's parking lot during a snowstorm. So, oh yeah, McFlurry, that makes sense. A Wisconsin mum nicknamed her newborn baby boy McFlurry after she gave birth in a McDonald's parking lot, car park, in the middle of a snowstorm. Annalicia Beck of Misuko felt contractions in the middle of the night, 2 weeks ahead of a due date, and woke up her husband to tell him to pack the car for the hospital. So on the way there, they got caught in a snowstorm, ended up pulling up in the car park, and she gave birth in the car park. I just hope that the middle name of that child is McFlurry, and then I hope that the child is lactose intolerant because he can still have a McFlurry. Moscow's meat wave tactic litters Ukraine battlefield with frozen corpse of Russian troops. Bit gruesome. Russia is using a meat wave strategy that sends scores of poorly trained soldiers to die in front lines against Ukraine to clear a path for the Kremlin's more valuable elite teams, then abandons their frozen corpses on the battlefield. A Ukrainian sniper stationed in Advelikivka, which has seen some of the most intense fighting of the war, said the Kremlin's tactic sends a really strange message for their lack of respect for their own troops. But these are the troops they don't really care about, like, you know, well, they care about the rapists and the murderers because they get pardoned. But your average college students or your IT worker, oh no, just send them out, they can get killed. Doesn't matter. We just use them as cannon fodder. Fodder? Back to Australia. A recall. A laxative powder has been recalled after insects found inside. Now, call me old-fashioned, but isn't that a good thing? Because you'd open it up and there'd be all these insects inside. You would literally shit yourself. I mean, it's genius. I might market just having insects in pots, so when you open it, you shit yourself, and you don't have to take any drugs or anything. You just do it naturally. I don't know why they've recalled it. But anyways, a supplement used to relieve constipation has been urgently recalled after live insects were found inside some of the bottles of the medication. The Therapeutic Goods Administration raised particular concern for individuals with specific allergies or respiratory issues, with consumers now being urged to return the product for a full refund. And it's called Herbalax. No worries. You take care, Angela. Thank you. And don't worry, you're fine, by the way. Everything's good. Don't worry. Internet banking services down. Internet banking services with ME Bank have been offline since yesterday evening due to a technical issue. It's not known yet when the outage will be fixed. The problem with online banking is, and the fact they're shutting banks down all over the place, my mother's town, when I was a child, okay, I know it was different times, but we had Barclays Bank, we had Yorkshire Bank, we had NatWest Bank, we had TSB Bank, we had the Post Office. Now there's no banks in Stalybridge at all. Nearest one is in Ashton-under-Lyne, which is 3-4 miles away. So yeah, so you've got to do your online banking, but if the online banking goes down, you're knackered. And then we've got Asda in the UK turning 80 odd stores into 80 odd stores into cashless stores without till operators either. So it's going to be self-service all the time. Now, I'm sorry, if I go into an Asda store and there's no staff there at the tills apart from one person who just verifies whether or not you're old enough to buy a tube of toothpaste or whatever, I want staff discount because I'm doing the work of the staff. So I think staff discount when I go to Asda, if that's what they've got, it's a cashless one, I think should be the way forward. But if there's internet banking goes down, you won't be able to shop at a cashless one, because if, like many people now, and I've noticed this more and more, you use your mobile phone to do your banking with, if you've got no internet connection or your bank's down, it won't let you use it. So you won't be able to shop at a shop like that. And if it goes on for days, weeks and months, you might starve to death. We need cash. We do. We do. We do. Anyway, Australia's learning very early on. And it's not the first time Australia's had a banking issue. They're not very good bankers in Australia. Disgraced former Spanish soccer boss will face trial for kissing player at Women's World Cup. Former Spanish soccer president will face a trial for kissing forward without her consent at the Women's World Cup, an investigative judge said. Judge Francesco Di Giorgio ruled that his probe points to the kiss being unconsented and carried out unilaterally and in a surprising fashion. Now, I'm not a big fan of people touching me. I won't want anyone kissing me under any circumstances. I don't even like people shaking my hand, I'll be honest with you. I just don't like being touched. It's like, keep away from me. 6 foot away, any closer than 6 foot, no, not interested, stay away from me. But they just won the World Cup. They are Southern Europeans. They are very emotional. It was the thing of the FA. She just won. She even smiled afterwards, and it wasn't like a ooh smile. It was like a smile because they just won the World Cup. And now he's been sent to trial for it. He lost his job. He's been humiliated around the world. He made a serious error of judgment. But to go to trial for it, surely there's more serious crimes going on that need to be sorted out. That's very delayed there, Smiley Mac. Angela said goodbye ages ago. But never mind, better late than never. Indigenous artwork lights up Opera House. Well, it doesn't light up Opera House, does it? No. It's shown on the Opera House. The majestic sails of the Sydney Opera House were this morning illuminated by a projection of Indigenous artwork by Cooma digital artist Brett Levy. Levy worked on in consultation with the Metropolitan Aboriginal Land Council on the artwork, and I must admit that does look spectacular. And if it was that bright and that cool, I wish I'd have seen that. But I don't have a passport, never been to Australia, no intention of ever going to Australia. They've got spiders that bite your bum when you sit on a toilet. I'm not going to Australia. Oh, my messages haven't been updating since the ad. Okay then, I'll let you off. BBL slammed for hideous medal. Brisbane Heat player Spencer Johnson looked slightly awkward when receiving his Player of the Match medal at the BBL final after taking 4-26 against the Sydney Sixers. No idea what I'm talking about. The bowling unit was seen removing the medal, which was shaped like a KFC bucket, shortly after giving an emotional speech and exiting the stage. I must admit, you know, it looks like it looks like a Jim will fix it thing, although that's probably not appropriate at the moment, and only people of a certain age will remember with horror Jim will fix it. Although we all thought it was cool at the time. I still can't remember. I still, yeah, I heard it. I heard it played, so it was played on the radio. That a Radio 4 presenter said when Jimmy Savile died, they were reading out tributes and all that because it was before all the nonsense. Well, not the nonsense. All the scandal came out about him, and this person had written in who obviously knew more than they were letting on, and I loved it when Jimmy Savile let me milk that cow blindfolded. Yeah. Hamas suspends hostage talks, demands Israeli army leaves Gaza Strip. What is that? It's a medal for doing well at cricket, and it's a KFC bucket, obviously. Hiya Stuart, hope you're good. Hamas suspends hostage talks, demands Israeli army leaves Gaza Strip. Hamas has reportedly called off negotiations with Israel on a proposed hostage release plan, demanding that Israel first withdraw its troops from the Gaza Strip. Qatar, which has been working as a mediator between the sparring groups, relayed the suspension to Israel. Sources familiar with the details said, according to the news, Qatar stressed Hamas' demand for a package deal was not going to be met if Israel was still on their land. Everyone's just saying hi to Stuart. Oh, the other thing that I'm too young to know. Alright, yeah. Russia claims Ukraine had 15 minutes notice on the downed POW flight. Officially warns. A senior Russian lawmaker said Ukrainian military intelligence had been given a 50-minute warning before a Russian military transport plane carrying Ukrainian prisoners of war entered an area where it was shot down on Wednesday. Russia accuses Ukraine of downing the plane, killing all 74 people on board, including 65 captured Ukrainian soldiers en route to be swapped for Russian POWs. Ukraine has not commented on the situation at that point. They have since, obviously. Everyone's saying hi to each other. French tourist finds massive 7.46 carat diamond in Arkansas State Park. Not a skate park. That would be impressive. A French tourist discovered a massive 7.46 carat diamond after he stopped off at an Arkansas State Park during a road trip this month. Julie Navas from Paris found the massive rock on the surface of Crater of Diamonds State Park while scouring the 37.5 acre search area. State officials said he was in the US to witness a rocket launch in Florida before he had plans with a buddy to check out Bourbon Street. Yeah, you find a diamond when you're on holiday. Shine like a diamond, shine bright like a diamond. Baby names banned in New Zealand. Some might surprise you. Are you ready? What names have been banned in New Zealand? Well, sadly we don't get the full list. This week's New Zealand Department of Internal Affairs released the list of baby names that were turned down by the Register General of Births, Deaths and Marriages in 2023. Prince was number 1 on the rejected list, declined 5 times by the DIA last year. 5 times. King Killer, Messiah, XIX, Isaiah Royal and Fanny were also given the thumbs down by the Register General. Oh, so you can't be referred to as an American arsehole or bum, because that's what they call it, don't they? They call it a fanny. And that means they can't watch Oliver either, because wasn't she called Fanny in that? And you've also got the Fanny by Gaslight. So no, that wouldn't happen either. No, it's New Zealand. New Zealand. It's not Australia. It's New Zealand. But yeah, that made me giggle. That made me giggle. A plane-shaped sonar image may be vital clue in Amelia Earhart mystery, says an adventurer. For dozens of explorers, Amelia Earhart is one of the who got away. Sorry. Amelia Earhart is one who got away, seemingly permanently. However, a commercial real estate investor from Charlestown, South Carolina, believes he might finally have found a vital piece of the 87-year-old puzzle. The pioneering female aviator, household name at the time, disappeared with her flight navigator on what was to be a record-breaking trip around the world in 1937. Let's be honest though, the planes were very, very slow in those days. She might still be flying round. Yeah, you're never going to get a visa to go to Australia, are you? Or New Zealand for that matter, getting them two mixed up. Ukraine assails Russia's claims that its forces shot down POWs. Ukraine government officials say Russia has provided no creditable evidence to back its claims that their Ukrainian forces shot down a plane carrying dozens of Ukrainian prisoners of war. Ukraine's government agency that brokers prisoner exchanges said the Kremlin had, with great delay, provided a list of 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war. Russia claimed the prisoners were on board a military transport plane destined to be exchanged for Russian POWs when the plane was attacked and crashed. Can't believe you got Australia and... Could have been worse. Could have been Canada and America that you got mixed up. Oh, God. Fan breaks Guinness World Record for the most Taylor Swift songs ID'd by their lyrics in 1 minute. Her records earned him a world record. A Taylor Swift fan recently broke the Guinness World Records for the most Taylor Swift songs identified from their lyrics in 1 minute. The bloke from Pakistan, a self-proclaimed die-hard fan of the pop star, named 34 of her songs, which broke the previous record held of 27. One day you might discover what real women are. Welsh Ambulance Service reveals 2023's most ridiculous emergency calls, including my hands stuck in the fucking letterbox. Hello 911. It's 999 actually, but never mind. It's American who are reporting this, so they don't know. The Welsh Ambulance Service revealed some of the most ridiculous calls it received this year, including a woman who lost her voice. So why would you call? A person who had eaten too much kebab, and another person who got their hand stuck in a mailbox. The service said it fielded a whopping 414,149 calls to 999. It's equivalent to 911 in the US. But 68,416 turn out not to be emergencies at all. Not good at geography. Okay, fair enough. Navy again lowers requirements as it struggles to meet recruitment goals, which is what I was saying before about getting the current generation, which is Gen Z and millennials, to join the armies. It's not happening. They just want to be TikTok stars now. That's all they're interested in. The US Navy is starting to enlist individuals who didn't graduate from high school or get a GED, marketing the second time in about a year that the service has opened the door to low-performing recruits as it struggles to meet its enlistment goals. The decision follows a move in December 2022 to bring in a larger number of recruits who score very low on the Armed Services Qualification Test. Now, the problem you've got with American troops is they're crap. Those of us old enough to remember the first Gulf War will remember that the American army killed more British troops, we were on the same side, than the Afghans did in the Gulf War, repeatedly, and referred to it as friendly fire. Therefore it didn't matter. A bit like when I used to cover the shootings in America, it was a stray bullet, so it didn't really matter. It's just one of them things, it was a stray bullet, they weren't aiming for you. you know, never mind. Get over it. Well, you won't do. You're dead, but you know. And now they're lowering the standard of people joining the army. What could possibly go wrong? Have they not looked at what's going on in Rusky? It does baffle me sometimes. It does baffle me what is going on in the world. Anyway, that brings us to the news that makes you go, or huh, or ugh. Or to put it another way, random news. And there might be a bit of Banksy, but I've not seen much Banksy this week, to be fair. So we might not get a lot of Banksy this week, so just bear with me while I get into the right file. Here we go. Met Office names Storm Jocelyn in danger to life. And yeah, basically cover the whole country, which is a safe bet, isn't it, really? But like I said before, it just seems trigger happy at the minute. Ryanair flight from Manchester to Dublin diverted in Storm Aisha to Paris. Passengers on board flight FR555 copped a classic Ryanair experience when the plane, which was supposed to fly from Manchester to Dublin, diverted to Paris due to Storm Aisha. Now, that's the plane I've been on a lot. I've done probably more land-off and takings than the majority of people, because for 6 months, every week, we would fly to and from Dublin, because I was working in Ireland but still living in Wigan. So we would commute by air. And I've done that trip, and it would have been embarrassing because I didn't have a passport. So I can imagine if they'd have diverted to Paris and then I would have been arrested for not having a passport in Paris. Doesn't bear thinking about. Mind you, some of the landings we saw were a bit scary. 5 times dodgy Russian army bombed itself as locals thank God no one died. Misfiring Russian troops have hit their own territory several times, including dropped bombs on their own land twice in one day, with a politician saying thank God no one died. So the Russians are as bad as the Americans. Well, we knew that anyway. Factory cleaner laced office coffee with Viagra and chems to poison colleagues. Factory cleaner, Karen Beale, no relation, claimed she wished no ill intent to the 2 apparent victims and was adamant she had not put anything in their coffee, as the court have heard. But the problem was, it stood up in court. It was Viagra. Stood up in court. I'll get the court. Ex-Pentagon UFO investigator slams Congress for believing conspiracy theories. Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick stepped down from leading the US government-backed team which looked into claims of UFO activity and blamed conspiracy theory believers in Congress. Now, it doesn't say whether it's conspiracy theorists who believe it or conspiracy theorists who don't believe it, but conspiracy theorists are all idiots, apparently. Death row lag faces new entirely experimental execution. What could possibly go wrong? Death row inmate Kenneth Eugene Smith is set to be executed through a controversial, never-before-tested form of execution, with the entirely experimental drug receiving a backlash from experts. Apparently they did carry it out and it was horrendous for the person involved, who was a mass murderer and killed many people in horrendous ways. So I say, and? Your problem is what? Brits might have to fight for king and country if war is waged with Russia. Chief of General Staff Sir General Patrick Sanders used a speech at the International Armoured Vehicles Conference to highlight the growing threat from Moscow, saying we should have a civilian army. Have a look in your wallets and your purses. Rare Kew Gardens 50p coin sells for hundreds on eBay after scoring 31 bids. Rare coin collectors would just do about anything to get their claws on Kew Gardens 50p. Now it looks as though it sold for hundreds on eBay earlier this month. With a few of them are sold for much more than the 50p it's worth, but it's not like thousands. You've been drinking tea all wrong. Expert claims salt is a secret to a perfect brew. Now the only brew I have is Guinness. I don't drink tea or coffee or any hot drinks. I very rarely have soup. The only exception I make is in September, October and November, and that's black peas. I love black peas. Anyway, chemist Dr. Michelle Frankel revealed the secret of making perfect brew, as many Brits might be committing the same mistake. So are you guilty of getting it wrong? It also includes using warm milk and a pinch of salt. And you're like, it's 90 seconds to midnight. This is the end of the world, end of humanity. So the whole of humanity has been going on for 24 hours, and we're now in the last 90 seconds of the humanity clock. I'll be honest with you, we've been here for a hell of a long while. It's a bloody long 90 seconds. I'm sure it was 60 seconds at one point. That was probably when I was on about earlier on, the Cuban crisis. But people say the same thing about the doomsday clock at 90 seconds to midnight. The doomsday clock revealed we are still 90 seconds to midnight as Armageddon at the hands of warmongers, artificial intelligence and climate change looms, but social medias have users have all made a different observation. Yeah. I don't know what the observation was because it's clickbait and I don't follow clickbait. Walker acts as iconic crisp labour, leaving heartbroken Brits sobbing on their beds. Now I'm sorry, if you're going to have a striking thing over him walkers or legs, if you're American or Australian, stopping doing a certain flavour of crisp, regardless of what it is, and you're crying on beds, I think you need to give your head a wobble and sort your life out. And I'm pretty sure we can't rely on you in World War III. Reporter wears a grape costume to support autistic boy suspended for wearing a banana costume. Now, I'll be honest with you, I thought when I first saw this, and a reporter wears grape costume to support autistic boy, I thought the boy was going to have hemorrhoids, and I thought he was wearing it to support him, but no, it's because the kid wore a banana costume. I must admit though, the kid does look like a right dick. There's two jokes for one, come on, gotta give me a clap for that one, not the clap. 30 years after leaving due to the nuclear disaster, two brothers return to Chernobyl and find an old friend waiting for them. Yeah, their old car. Although looking at it, it's a completely different car. So for a start, it's not got a window screen, and the front of it looks different. It's got like the curb bit on it and stuff, so I don't think it's even the same bloody car. But anyway, it's a nice story, isn't it? And look, they're all grown up. They're all little babies who couldn't grow a beard and had to wear a nappy. And now they don't. I don't know. I don't know. Now, as you all know, I like Formula 1. Breaking news, depression in Italy has just risen by 600%. This is because Charles Leclerc has extended his contract with Scuderia Ferrari. A multi-year agreement has been reached. And let's be honest, Ferrari are crap at the minute and Charles Leclerc is crap. So yeah, everyone in Italy who are massive Ferrari fans are very, very upset. Probably. Tesco, Sainsbury's and Asda sandwiches facing price hike amid supplier warning. It's because I've started eating sandwiches every day from Boots, which doesn't really affect them, but you know, meal deals and all that. Sandwiches in top supermarkets such as Tesco, Sainsbury's and Asda's could be going up in price. It comes amid a warning from Greenco, which supplies many of the supermarkets with produce. Basically, their prices are going up, their costs are going up, wages are going up. That's the thing about this minimum wage going up. It's all well and good, but that means everything else is going to go up because most of the stuff that people buy is made by people on minimum wage, which means we're still going to buy the same amount of stuff, if not less. But these people get paid more, so the price is going to go up. So it all seems a bit counterintuitive. A polar vortex disruption could bring cold weather chaos to the UK next month. A recent disturbance of the stratospheric polar vortex, nope, me neither, has been tipped to bring cold weather back to the UK next month. It's in February. It's always cold in February. It's in February. Only starts getting warm in March. I mean, this is not news, but it is. Now remember, we're living in 2024, you know, the age of every camera's got 15 billion pixels, even on videos. You can count the number of blackheads on my nose when I film my vlogs. I mean, yeah, we can only get pictures like that of Bigfoot. Utter nonsense. A man reckons he might have captured Bigfoot roaring in a video in 2 separate clips shared to Reddit. No, it's bull. Absolute nonsense. Absolute tripe. Talking of which, Exact date Putin could launch World War III using puppet who said Hitler isn't all bad. With an election on the horizon, Russian President Vladimir Putin could unleash his first knockings of World War III within 24 hours of an inevitable victory. So as soon as he knows he's going to win it, he's going to press the buttons. Be warned, don't let him think he's going to win it. That's all I'm saying. Death row killer dies after 22 minutes of tortuous pain in new execution method. So what I was talking about before. Kenneth Eugene Smith, who evaded death in a botched execution earlier, has been confirmed dead by the Holman Correctional Facility, where he was jailed for killing of Elizabeth Sennett. And it was horrendous, apparently. Absolutely horrendous. What a shame. I'm sure that, what was she called? Elizabeth Sennett's family are really upset that you were in pain when you died. You know, you murdering scumbag. Grim year as 580,000 Brits died in 2023 as one region saw a massive 45% increase. New statistics from the Office of National Statistics show that 2023 kept the Grim Reaper busy, but 2024 is already off to a horrific start with deaths coming in huge numbers. Now, obviously people die all the time, otherwise we wouldn't be able to move. So death is part of life. Death is part of society. Death is part of what goes on in the world. But more people are dying now than have died before. And there's two reasons for that. One is there's more people in the country. The population is bigger than it was. I mean, you know, that's basics. But the other one is, and there's lots of rumours about this, a lot of younger people dying in the 30s and 40s. And no one really knows why. It's not been reported widely, but I have seen reports that suggest it's something to do with multiple vaccines that's weakened the heart and done something to the heart, but you don't get diagnosed with it and people are just dropping dead. Others are saying it's effects from vaping. Others are saying it's effect from long COVID, and maybe COVID is killing more people even though they got rid of it. It weakened their organs and they're dying from that. But yeah, it's just unusual for the figures to be so high. And it didn't say what area had a 45% increase, but one can only assume it was in Scotland, because sadly that does seem to be the place where more people pass away. Right, for those of you concerned that the media isn't covering this, different story, know that we've been monitoring the situation closely and will provide updates as we have them. And this is IGN on about Big Bird, who, day 3 of being tiny, I was able to get to Hoppers. I have no idea who Hopper is, but Baby Bear didn't see me. Do any of you any suggestions on how I can get big again? Help Big Bird. And you can see there, Big Bird is tiny, stood next to the milk. So Big Bird has got a massive problem that he's tiny. Maybe if he wants to get big again, he should go to that hospital or that place where that woman was working and have a cup of her tea. And he'll definitely get big then. Allegedly. Jeez. Tesla cars. Tesla cars. Tesla cars. Catch fire. Regular. The problem with this one is the people were still in the car when it caught fire because it had crashed into a lamppost. And because it's an electric car and all the doors are wired into the electrics, they couldn't get the people out of the car. And the windows are reinforced to say if the car rolls over, etc. So they couldn't get the people out of the car that's on fire, even though there's no damage to the doors, because it's an electric car. And once the electrics go, the batteries go, none of the electrics work. So the car is basically locked. Guy I worked with died last week, aged 41, blood clots in the lungs. Vaccine related allegedly. Gatorman. There you go, you see. It's terrifying what's going on. I never had the vaccine, I'll be honest with you. It's one of them, I wouldn't knock anyone who had it, but I didn't have it myself. One of the trustworthiest men in the world, Uri Geller, claims he was shown alien bodies that looked like us at a NASA base. Spoon-bending magician Uri Geller said he was taken to a room below a NASA flight center by astronauts when he saw a small and thin alien bodies that looked like us. Now, for a start, would NASA have Uri Geller anywhere near them? Literally. Secondly, if you had bodies of aliens, would you let Uri Geller see them? Bearing in mind, he's a bit of a nutter. No. And then, this is, oh no, here we go again, Bigfoot. Is this the same picture actually? It might be the same one. Oh, it's a different picture, so it might be similar. Oh yeah, here we go. It's the same picture, but slightly different distance. Bigfoot sightings can't be dismissed as beast behind them is identified. A Bigfoot expert has weighed in on recent study that claimed to identify the hairy beast responsible for Sasquatch sightings, saying thousands can't be explained away. Yeah, they can, because it's all nonsense. Talking of nonsense, do you remember Blanket, Michael Jackson's son, who was held over a balcony with a blanket on his head when he was a baby? Do you remember that? Yeah, well, you'll never guess what. Apparently, he's unrecognisable now. Now, bearing in mind he had a fucking blanket over his head at the time, and it was, 21 years ago. Of course he's unrecognisable. Anyone, I'm not unrecognisable from 21 years ago, but, if you were a child 21 years ago, you are going to be unrecognisable now. Bigfoot, my ex again. You're obsessed with your ex. I'm thinking you might want your ex not to be your ex anymore, the way you go on about them all the time, Lainey. Hashtag just saying. But yeah, anyway, Michael Jackson's son Blanket, as now 21, has changed his name. Well, who wouldn't? And is completely unrecognisable. Well, who'd have thought that as well? Michael Jackson's youngest son, formerly known as Blanket, has left fans stunned after they deemed him unrecognisable. Now he's grown up. Blanket, now 21, is the youngest of the late singer's 3 children, with the pop icon also having son Prince, 26, no relation, and daughter Paris, now 25. Yes. So basically the story is, children grow up. Oh no. Oh no. Now, we're on the breaking news thing. We've got a severe weather warning alert for rain that's been issued, and it's issued until the 30th of January at 5 o'clock, apparently. Current temperatures are near the record high for January the 28th. It's really warm for this exact day. Yeah. Channel 4 is set to announce plans to axe almost 250 jobs. Lewis Hamilton brings back right-hand man who helped him to win the last F1 title, the one he sacked. Films and TV shows you may not realise were filmed in East Lancashire. Yeah. Cutting costs. Cost cutting at 206 Holmore Lane development could lead to substantially different buildings. So yeah, basically building supplies have gone up in value, in price. So yeah. Ineos identifies new candidate to replace Eric Ten Hag at Manchester United. Now it says here why the post office chairman is standing down and what could happen next. He was fired apparently. It was been given off this week. Multi-million-pound redevelopment of college approved. This is the demolition and rebuild of the backside of Wigan College, or maybe even Martland Mill. Not Martland Mill. Martland Mill. Is it Martland Mill? Yeah, I think it is Martland. No, it's not Martland Mill. It's the Thingy Mill that's always catching fire. Anyway. Young people in UK refuse jobs to high costs, which is basically transport, parking, and then buying food and stuff. Tell Sid, NatWest share sell-off could be launched this summer, which is the shares that we've got in NatWest after the banking crisis of 2008. Again, the Tell Sid will make no sense to people like Smiley Mac, because they'll be like, who said? There was an advertisement when they wrongly sold off British Gas that everyone needed to know, and the catch line was, do you know British Gas is selling shares or something like that? If you see Sid, tell him. And the adverts just went on, different people saying, oh, if you see Sid, tell him as well, because Sid's interested in this and all that. And then eventually, the last advert, it was Sid, and he said, I'm not bothered. Labour MP has whip suspended after Gaza comment in Holocaust Holocaust Memorial Day post. Food protesters who hurl soup over Mona Lisa. I've got another sneeze coming on. No, I haven't. The numbers that reveal why Trump is America's next president. Yeah, it's the IQ of Americans very low. 3 troops killed and many wounded in Jordan drone attack, says Joe Biden. Sadiq Khan launches £24 million plan to cut tube and rail fares on Fridays. Just Fridays. And the tragic story of the 2 teenage boys who've died after being stabbed in an attack by a number of people in Bristol. Like we said, 2 people arrested, one himself a teenage boy. Train strike days for generally put out. John Lewis plans to cut 11,000 jobs after halving redundancy pay. So basically as trustworthy as every other company. Remember, John Lewis used to be the standard that everyone else aimed themselves at. Now they are just as devious as all the others. Okay, we'll ignore that because I don't know what that's saying. No, I'll ignore that as well. UK Post Office chief sacked as firm reels from IT scandal. Rightly so as well. Man United issue statement as Marcus Rashford misses the FA Cup tie, where they were winning 2-0, ended up 2-2 and then won 4-2 against a team that no one's ever heard of. Replace licence fee with TV tax whether you watch or not, says TV Boss. Well, that's nonsense. What you need to do with the licence fee is get rid of it and do like Channel 4, which is publicly owned, and Channel 5, which is publicly owned, and have advertisements on there. I mean, let's be honest, we're paying for subscriptions now on some of the big subscription services and getting advertisements now. So, yeah, that. EY quits as Asda's auditor amid criticism of Issa Brothers, not Issa. Yeah, basically, this is the couple of brothers who took over Asda off Walmart and basically seem to be running it into the ground. Department of Work and Pension confirms when cost of living payments worth £1,000 will land in bank accounts. So once again, people getting bailouts. Now, if they were spending it on stuff that was like, like heating and food and stuff like that, would be great. But I know so many people come into my shop and say, look, I bought these new £100 trainers or football boots, or I bought this computer, I bought the PlayStation 5, or I bought this, that. I can't afford to do that, and I work 7 days a week. These things should be for essential only. As much as I disagree with monitoring what people buy, I think if it's a handout for the cost of living crisis, it should only be spent on stuff that's in the cost of living crisis criteria. For example, when we got the £60 a month last year for electric, you could only spend it on electric, which was great because we all had electric and it worked out brilliant for me because that 60 quid lasted me a month. So I only had to pay for gas, which was considerably more than that, but that's the way it is. But yeah, if they just get this money in the bank account and then they go splurging it over, gambling it away or whatever, what it should be is it should be given on a card that they can only use in certain establishments. So you can only use it by paying for a top up on your gas or electric, or you can only pay it for in a supermarket on food goods or clothing or something like that. Basic clothing, not going to JD Sports and buying a £200 pair of Nike Jordan Reeboks. Sorry. I'm just saying what everyone else is thinking, aren't I? What else have we got? Why your local council may be going bust. Rumours are Wigan Council's in the process of going bust as well, but they all are, so that's not too much news. And I think that's it for the breaking news. So see how you commented to that. Nothing. Alright, okay then. That was good. Thanks for that. That was great. So that's the end of the broadcast. We've been on for 1 hour and 44 minutes. We've had no drop frames, which is good. We've currently got 10 people and only 7 likes, which is a bit depressing, but you know, what can you do? 10 people is good. 66 views, average of 14 minutes and 20 seconds. If you want me to say hello to you, give you a shout out at the end, then please say something on the chat now, as I'm going to start at the top, which is wicked normally today. My PC was rubbish last week, so I'm going to say thank you to Lainey, Alan Barton, Angela O'Kane, T as well, Andy the Cyclist, Luke Williams, JT and Rach, James, no idea what happened there, but don't worry Angela, you're fine, Smiley Mac, Jordan Arthur Bissell, and Hamilton Caven Lewis, Stuart Weir, and Gator Man. And that's all I have, unless my chat's not wicking. Oh, and Kim. Hi Kim. Hi bye. Hi bye. Hi bye. So yeah, that's it. So like I say, whether you agree, disagree what I say, just keep watching. Tell your friends about this as well. We'll join in. I am trying to figure out a way of getting one of you or a couple of you on here as well. So one there and one there maybe, and we can have a chat about world news or politics or whatever you want. But I haven't quite gone down that rabbit hole yet. May have to do an interview for Wigan Watch online in the near future. So I will have to figure that out pretty quickly. Then I can find a way of doing that, and then doing that while I'm live streaming, even better. So yeah, huge shout out to everyone then, and yeah, thank you very much for watching, if indeed you still are, and all being well, I will see you again next week for another hi and bye, for another news roundup of the week. We'll be in February then as well. That's quite scary, isn't it? So anyway, I'll be seeing you, and yeah, thanks for watching. Until next time, bye. You said bye. I said bye. Bye, like that. This is funny. I'll just watch me on the playback, and then I'll turn it out. Yeah, that's done now. I've done it now. There you go. I think we're finished now.